You've been lied to about the Middle Ages, not in a small way, in a way that controls how you feel every Monday morning. Because everything you think you know about medieval peasants, the muddy fields, the cruel lords, the lives of non-stop misery, was largely invented 800 years after the fact to make you feel better about your own job. Here's the truth almost nobody talks about. If you swapped places with a medieval peasant tomorrow, you would work fewer hours, take more vacations, and have more festivals on your calendar than you do right now in the 21st century. And the proof for that isn't a meme. It's published research from one of the most respected economists alive. So what did medieval people actually do all day? The answer is going to feel personal. Stay with me. In 1991, a sociologist named Juliet Schor at Boston College published a book that quietly broke something inside America. It was called The Overworked American, and inside it, she dropped a number. The average adult male peasant in 13th century England worked around 1,620 hours per year. The average American today works between 1,780 and 1,950 hours. Read that again. A man who lived 8 centuries ago in a one-room cottage with no electricity, no running water, and no shoes for half the year worked roughly 1 full month less than you do annually. But how? How is that even possible? Because medieval people did not have something we take for granted. They did not have the clock, there were no alarms, no shifts, no 9 to 5, no quarterly reviews. The day didn't start when a phone buzzed, it started when the sun came up, and it ended when the sun went down. And in between, work wasn't measured in hours, it was measured in tasks. Plow this field, mend this fence, bring in this harvest. When the task was done, you stopped. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine a job where finishing actually means finishing. But here's where it gets stranger, because even the tasks themselves followed a rhythm that no modern worker would recognize. The medieval year was not one long grind. It moved in waves. In spring, peasants plowed and sowed. In summer, they cut hay. In late summer, the harvest hit, and yes, those weeks were brutal. 16-hour days, whole families in the fields, racing the weather, because if you missed the harvest window, the village starved by February. But then came autumn, and after autumn, winter, and in winter with the ground frozen and the daylight short, there was almost no field work to do at all. For months, people stayed indoors, repaired tools, spun wool, brewed ale, told stories by the fire. This wasn't laziness, this was the system. And the system had a built-in feature that will sound insane to anyone working a modern job. The midday nap. In summer, a medieval workday included an hour for breakfast, an hour for lunch, a 1 to 2 hour rest at noon when the sun was at its worst, and another hour for dinner. The church encouraged it. The Lord encouraged it. A collapsed peasant helped nobody. Rest wasn't a reward. It was infrastructure. Now pause and ask yourself, when was the last time your employer scheduled you a nap? But the naps aren't even the part that's going to shock you. The holidays are. The medieval Catholic Church ran the calendar, and the calendar was packed with mandatory days off where work was forbidden by law. Sundays were always free. On top of that, 12 full days at Christmas, an unbroken stretch of feasting from December 25th, right through to Epiphany on January 6th. A full week at Easter, another week at Pentecost in early summer, and scattered through every single month, saints' days, local festivals, patron saint celebrations specific to each village. Historians have counted them carefully. Across most of medieval Western Europe, peasants got between 80 and 100 mandatory holidays per year, on top of every Sunday. In some parts of medieval Spain, contemporary records suggest workers got up to 5 months of holidays in a single year. According to Schor, leisure took up roughly 1/3 of the entire year. 1/3. Off. By law. Now compare that to today. The United States is the only major developed country on Earth with 0 federally guaranteed paid vacation days. 0. A 13th century English peasant had more legally protected time off than a 21st century American. Let that sit for a second. But the question that should be burning in your head right now isn't about the days off. It's about what they actually did with them. Because they did not sit at home and scroll. They didn't have personal vacations. So where did all that time go? The answer is the part of medieval life that we have completely, utterly lost. When a feast day came, the whole village stopped at once. Bells rang from the tower. People poured into the church square. There were processions, open-air plays that became the earliest form of European theater, music, dancing, wrestling matches, archery contests. Weddings could last a week, funerals could last days. When a wandering juggler or a traveling fair came through town, work simply stopped, the whole village. And that's the part we've lost. Time off back then wasn't private, it was communal. Everybody rested at the same time. Everybody celebrated together. Everybody mourned together. Nobody was scrolling alone at midnight while their friends worked different shifts. Which raises one final, uncomfortable question. If medieval peasants had it this good, who decided to take it away? The answer is the Industrial Revolution. When factory owners in 1700s and 1800s England needed workers to show up at 6 a.m. and stay chained to a machine until 8 p.m. 6 days a week, they ran into a problem. People didn't want to. The old rhythm of seasons and festivals and midday naps and saints' days was still in their bones. The church was still ringing its bells. The villages were still celebrating their patron saints. So a story was invented. The story that medieval life was nothing but mud and misery and death. That the factory was progress. That the clock was civilization. That the peasant past was a dark age you should be grateful to have escaped. It wasn't progress. It was a trade. We didn't invent the work week to escape medieval cruelty. We invented it to escape medieval rest. So the next time you stare at your laptop at 9 p.m., one more email burning a hole in your inbox. Picture this. A field in England, 800 years ago. The harvest is done. Bells are ringing from a stone tower. A man is lying in the grass with bread in one hand. He has nowhere to be because nobody can take this day from him. Tell me in the comments, would you trade your job for his year? And the strangest part of all, most of us never even knew it was gone.